evening, everyone. Welcome. Sorry, we have a little bit larger than normal crowd tonight, so if you do, during the course of the meeting, choose to, or would like to come up and speak, you can simple raising of the hand if you're not on the agenda. When you do come up, please come up to the podium, state your name and where you live, and then we'll go by as Matt started last year. Concise, courteous, and what was the rest? I'm missing one. Clear, concise, and courteous. Thank you, Matt. So, all right, with that said, we'll start out with appropriation ordinance number 1227. Anyone have any questions? I'm sorry.
Solomon Corporation?
Transformers, that have been like 4 of them.
If no other questions, do I have a motion to approve appropriation ordinance number 1227?
I move to approve appropriation ordinance 1227 as presented.
A motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve appropriation ordinance number 1227 as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is the proposed minutes of the February 20th regular meeting. That looks okay to me. Anyone have any questions on the minutes? Those will stand approved as proposed. Approve agenda items to be added. I think we do have a couple things that we want that need to be added, correct, Maurice? We have volleyball / soccer fields. That's 10, right? Yep. So what I'm gonna do is, I know we have at least 2 items to be added. I'm gonna put those 2 items first, so you don't have to sit through all the boring stuff, unless you want to, of course. But so we're gonna, Tim, we're gonna, it's very last name.
Pedri.
Pedri.
Commissioner, we have a third item.
Okay.
Mike DeCipio from the sewer plant has a item to talk about.
We don't care about Mike, he can go last. No.
I see you.
And then the second item, so Tim, you're gonna be A, and then B will be Charlie Koskinen. And we'll talk about the pit bull ordinance, or dog ordinance. And we can make Mike, we'll make you go third, Mike. You go third, we can get item C. Anybody else have any items to add to the agenda? Okay, let's start off. New business, Tim Pedri is here to talk about volleyball and soccer fields. Thank you, sir.
Alright, so I'm pretty much just going to read my little letter here. but I'm here for soccer goals, looking for soccer goals. So, my name is Tim Pedry. I've been a resident of St. Mary since 2020. I have several children that play soccer here as well as other sports. There is not a soccer league provided by the city, so my boys are playing for the nonprofit club run by Eric Barnaville. I'm now coaching my third season of youth soccer here in St. Mary's and plan on coaching my youngest son for the next several years until he's in high school soccer. I started coaching youth soccer about 30 years ago. I have successfully coached multiple youth soccer teams in Wyoming, Colorado, Oklahoma, and now here in St. Mary's, Kansas. Soccer is the fourth most popular sport in the United States and the most popular sport in the world. Part of the reason for the popularity of soccer is that it is a relatively inexpensive sport to play. Soccer provides an opportunity for children, for low-income families, and large families to play a sport which they might not be able to otherwise afford. A player's parents must provide soccer ball, cleats, shin guards, and a minimal fee to a soccer association to play soccer for a spring and a fall season. The coaches in the St. Mary's Club are all volunteers who provide their time, knowledge, and leadership to these children for free. What is not provided by the parents, coaches, or our nonprofit soccer club is practice fields and soccer goals. Here in St. Mary's, next to one of the 3 well-kept baseball fields, with night lights and bleachers in our sports complex, is an open field which is rumored to be a soccer field. If you drive by this so-called soccer field most any day or time of the year, you'll never know it's a soccer field. It does not have any soccer goals, it does not have any markings for a soccer field, and is most definitely not maintained like a typical soccer field in the United States. Baseball in St. Mary's Sport Complex, the 3rd most popular sport in the U.S., has well-maintained fields, and has obviously received the vast majority of funds for our sport complex in the small town of St. Mary's. A town that has more children per capita than any other town of its size in the United States. I am here today requesting the city of St. Mary's provide the appropriate size soccer goals as quickly as possible for the field just west of the south most baseball field. And I have provided information for these soccer goals in my packet. To me, this is a minimal effort in funding that the city can provide for the youth of St. Mary's concerning the 4th most popular sport in the U.S. If you don't think soccer is popular in the state of Kansas, then you're wrong. Kansas City is known as the soccer capital of America. Why has the small town of St. Mary's, an hour and a half away, not even provided the minimal equipment needed to even play a soccer game in their sport complex? Today I'm only requesting that soccer goals be provided, but I'm hoping that this will be the start for the city of St. Mary's providing more visible, tangible sports, equipment, and facilities in the near future. Maybe in the future we could discuss turning the existing field into a well-maintained soccer field that is maintained just as consistently as the 3 baseball fields. I believe there are many other small budget improvements that should be made here in St. Mary's Sports Complex before $500,000 is spent on a golf course renovation for adults. Providing up to standard multi-sports facilities for the many children and youth of St. Mary's should come before a massive sum of money is budgeted for a sport whose primary participants are adults who can drive a car to neighboring towns to play golf. There are currently 3 youth soccer teams that are practicing here in St. Mary's. One of these teams, a U14 boys team, plays competitive soccer in Kansas City in Division 6 out of 12 divisions. This team could possibly move up to Division 5 next year because of their talent. I'm asking for your support and funding for these young residents who represent a town that thus far has shown very little support for their sport. And I would like to say there are some soccer goals on this field, but they are, 4 of them are for 3v3 adult league, that happened in the fall and they've just still been sitting there. But they're not really right-sized goals for the ages that we're talking about. There's also one other set of goals that are sitting out there, and those are for a younger age group. So the goals that I'm requesting are ones that are appropriate size for the soccer teams, the older soccer teams, like the U10 and the U14. And currently, I have a son who is a goalie. He doesn't get to practice in front of the goal ever until he shows up for a game in Kansas City. I coach the U10s. They don't ever get to practice on a goal until we show up for a game. There's a lot missing, and the whole point of the game is to score the ball in the goal. And they don't even get to see a goal, and they don't even get to practice on how wide it is, how tall it is, like that shot, until they show up for a game. So I've coached in several of the cities, like I mentioned, always had soccer goals that we could practice on. And soccer, I think, would be an even more popular sport here if we actually had the right equipment. So I provided a quote, Epic Sports. I mean, this is just a pretty moderate size, or it's for quality of goals. It actually would have wheels on them, so they're easily movable. For those who are doing the mowing and the maintenance, they could easily move it out of the way to not even have to trim around it, and they could be easily moved around the field. And we're looking at over $4,198.98. Shipping is free, and I did provide a sheet that gives some of the other information on the goal. And that's it. As far as, I guess, the volleyball thing is like a whole other separate thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
when they're done with the soccer, you just move into volleyball.
Yeah, we'll kind of transition to them. So this is the total price for 2 goals that you found for about $4,200?
Yes, one's a full-size goal, and then the other one is the next size goal that's smaller for U12, U10 age.
And you're wanting the city to purchase the goals, so the city would own the goals,
Correct.
and then designate that field on the south side of the park as a soccer field?
I don't think that has to happen, like, you just have goals set up there, people are gonna know that you can play soccer there, and anybody can go play soccer, and anybody can, practice their shots, they can have, anybody, it's just there, so that it can be used as a soccer field. It's quite rough right now, it hasn't been really very well taken care of, the ball bounces all over the place, nobody wanna play baseball on it, I can guarantee you that, they have baseball in their mouth in about 2 seconds. But, it's just one step at a time, soccer goals would be great. So that's what I'm asking for.
You mentioned something, you said there were some existing soccer goals? Do
Yeah,
we own
there's,
those? Where do we store those? Do we bring them out in the spring and put them away in the?
We've just been leaving them out because people just come down and kick the ball around. They're not hurting anything, we just drag them out of the way and mow in the summertime.
Is that field not lacking topsoil across the middle section of it?
Correct.
It's like they scraped it some years ago for the sewer plant, so to get a good stand in that middle section is fairly difficult.
It gets the same attention as the fall happens, same chemicals, same reseeding every year.
Yeah, the goals that are out there right now, and they're, and 3x5 or 4x5 for, it's called small-sided soccer. Or, 5 or 6 year olds that are playing. And there is one set of goals that's for a younger group, but we do have 3 teams, and they would all play on different size goals.
So you have the two different sizes here, so there be 4 goals for this? When it says quantity 1, is that 1 pair?
Correct.
Okay, so, alright. So you want 1 pair at 8 by 24 and 1 pair at 7 by 21?
Correct.
Okay.
Are the outfields of these ball diamonds big enough to put a soccer field in? No,
No.
it's not.
Now you
You
need
do
a
like a
soccer?
small-sided soccer, like, in a league, but you could do that there, but you know.
You couldn't, go ahead, Matt.
Aren't those fields, isn't that supposed to be a soccer field? It was, I seem to recall about 5 years ago or something, we designated that for soccer in particular, right?
Yeah.
Is it just that there are more, I don't know, groundhogs or something? What's the problem with that?
It gets used so much, the grass gets wore down and it's not very good soil, and then, yeah, there is rodents and moles in there.
I don't ever, I mean, I go by the park quite a bit, and I don't ever see anybody down there. We practice, you know, there's 3 little teams that practice an hour and a half twice a week for a month and a half in the spring, and same in the fall, and that's pretty much the only time those fields are used. So if you go to the soccer complex, those fields are used 34 hours every single night. That's used, but, you know, this, that field is not used very much. Most times it's just a field.
Well, I know they have used it for volleyball tournaments, and I know they've used it for soccer,
Flag football.
flag football tournaments. So I know, I mean, it does get used, I don't think I don't know if we need to designate it just for soccer, because then we're eliminating what other people would like to do as well. But,
It could easily be a multi-sport, you know, field. You just have soccer goals there, and anybody could play flag football in between the soccer goals, or they could be rolled out of the way, or if you have volleyball tournament. Soccer fields are pretty large, so that's the reason why, if I was to get goals, I would want 1 wheel, so they could easily be moved out of the way. It could be used for anything.
go ahead.
So on the one hand, this doesn't seem like an outlandish request. On the other, did we talk to the rec committee? And we do have a rec department. Did we, I can't remember what their priorities are, but I mean, it seems like it would be just a fairly simple thing through them. Have you spoken to anyone in the?
No, I've tried to get Eric to show up here since it's his club, but I don't think he likes it.
No, I mean, like Alex Whitehead.
We have a rec department, and we have an advisory board, a recreation advisory board. I think what Matt is alluding to.
Yeah, what I'm
start
saying
there.
is, it seems reasonable to me, but I'm not sure we're sort of putting the cart in front of the horse a little bit, I think, coming to us and not getting this from the rec department. I'm not saying I don't agree with anything you're saying, but I am curious, what are the first and second most popular sports? Because you mentioned third and fourth.
I think football and basketball.
Okay. I don't know.
In the United States.
I guess I would just like to hear from Alex before we.
Anyone else have anything?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in the past, I've seen some larger goals down there, I think. Were those the cities or?
No,
Okay.
we've seen, cause the academy play down there, so those were the academy's goals. I forget the exact.
Okay.
They got moved back to the academy.
I'm not opposed to, like Matt, this doesn't look like it's an outlandish, amount of money to spend, but I agree that I think we need to start with the rec director and maybe the recreation advisory board and see if that's something who knows, they may be working on this for next year to implement all of these kind of things anyways, but not trying to put you off, just saying, just go through the process. And
I know I talked to whoever was in charge of the board like 2 years ago, the rec board, I can't remember who that was now, but, nothing ever happened, so I figured I'd come here.
Would you like
I
this,
could talk to him.
would you like this information forwarded to the rec board for consideration?
I would. Anybody else? Any otherwise? Yep. And if you try and get a hold of Alex, and or the rec committee can't get a hold of you, please feel free to come back. But I think that's the best route to take, is to start with that.
Okay.
All right, you wanna move into volleyball?
Yeah,
Do we have more questions?
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the meantime, would it be reasonable to look at goals out there? I know you provided a quote. I imagine there's many companies that make them. We know these kind of get several quotes, so we have a full picture on what the cost would be.
that's definitely like the cheapest for sure. I mean, Epic Sports is kind of a big deal, they can ship it for free. Like even just if you bought metal and had it welded, it still ended up being at least $2,000, $2,500, which is basically what we're talking about to purchase that. So I definitely looked at the lower end, but still, competitive, something that'll last a while. But I mean, we can definitely get, other quotes for sure.
Maurice, if we send this over to the rec club, can they approve it? Is that just gonna come right back to us, or
We
how
make
does
a
it?
recommendation, as Charles was saying about their priorities, we just have to discuss it and make a recommendation
Thank you.
as far as field allocation.
Okay. Volleyball.
At volleyball, I'm just, wanting to have a volleyball tournament, do some fundraising. The last 2 weekends of this month, so, I'm not sure what we, so that would be like the 23rd and the 30th. And I've done tournaments before here, and so Patty Thomas and I have been pretty much the one putting on the volleyball tournaments for the last 4 years. So, I just wanted to be able to use the courts. Before, when I had come before, they were like, well, there's no reservation, if you just pay $10, or it was something like $10, then you could reserve the place where, they can't. That way, if you have some food or people want to stay, but, I don't need a reservation because, especially this time of year, it's not there, on the courts that much. I'm also looking to start beach tennis here, which is going to be using the sand courts, and it's a version of, it's a special racket. It's actually an international sport, and I think people would have a lot of fun with it. So the only difference is you lower the volleyball net down, and so I'm looking to do a tournament at the end of this month too. So like a volleyball tournament and a beach tennis tournament. So that's pretty much it.
So after we spoke, I went through the minutes to see previous, and twice the city commission granted you exclusive use, and there is like a consensus. I would just think that should continue in case there's any ever, on the 23rd or 30th, someone there, you would officially add it. There wouldn't be anything.
I have permission to do that.
So you just need a consensus?
If there's a consensus to allow them in to have the exclusive use of the volleyball courts on the 23rd and 30th of March.
Just those 2 weekends, or just the? is it
However
just
you want
those
it,
or
however
Saturday?
you want it,
It's just on Saturday.
You just want them on Saturdays?
Yeah.
Okay,
23rd and 30th.
I'm okay with it. Anybody, questions or?
Just my lesson learned from late night events, I think we need to have an end time.
Yeah, what would be the timing?
I mean, most of the time it ends around 5 or 6,
It's a day.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine, but
Unless you get a lot of teams that show up, and then, I've tried to get more sand volleyball courts, over the years, that we've actually had some great.
all I'm driving at, Tim, is I would feel comfortable if you guarantee that you're gonna be done by a certain point, and we're not gonna require Bob to show up at 2 o'clock in the morning to
Oh,
do some sort of.
no. I mean, I can guarantee we'll be done by probably 6 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Consensus then. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
All right, next on Charlie Koskinen.
I'd like to bring up the issue of city ordinance 929 and 1291 regarding pit bull dogs in the city of St. Mary's. Give you a little backstory, for the first part of this notification I got from the city. We got a dog from Prairie Paws Rescue Adoption Agency in Otway, Kansas. And on the paperwork that came with the dog, it was listed as hound boxer, okay? They couldn't definitively tell the breed of the dog, so they called it hound boxer. So we got the dog last January, 12 months now. We took it into St. Mary's Clinic a few months later, and we asked the veterinarian what type of dog is it, what breeds is it, and he looked at the paperwork from the adoption agency, and he couldn't determine the breed of the dog. We'll take its word for what it is on paper. So that's okay, that's fine. Hound boxer. So we registered the dog as hound boxer in the city, when we got the dog. And the letter I got from the notification I got from the city says that we incorrectly registered Mattis, or the name of the dog, as an incorrect breed. Okay, so what happened was we had a neighbor that was I guess it was a complaint filed in the city about our dog saying it was a bulldog, it was a pit bull. So Chief Sid sent over Officer John Wood, and he came to the residence, and I let him in the house, and he visited with the dog, and said, oh, it's a nice dog, friendly dog. But unfortunately, I have to tell Chief Sid that it looks like a pit bull. So I kind of question what expertise and knowledge does, nothing against Officer Wood, does he have on making a judgment on the breed of a dog by its appearance when the adoption agency and the veterinarian could make that determination. So according to these codes, on line 4, under Article 3, any dog which has the appearance of being predominantly of the breeds of Staffordshire Bull Terrier, American Pit Bull, American Staffordshire Terrier are illegal dogs. So I don't know how we can make that determination on the breed of the dog, on appearances. And on appearances, I found a lot of cities are rescinding the pit bull ban. For example, Junction City, Fort Scott, Prairie Village, Paola, Andover, Tonganoxie, Liberal, Kansas City, Kansas, and the entire Johnson County have rescinded pit bull laws because of that word appearance.
They've taken that portion out of their ordinance, or they rescinded the entire ordinance?
Rescinded. Which brings me to somebody, I found this online, it explains it much better than me. It's just a regular 30-second read. Since 2018, over 100 cities in the U.S. have either successfully repealed their ineffective and obsolete bans or have eliminated breed-specific ordinances against dogs labeled as pit bulls, commonly in favor of more effective breed-neutral policies that are based on modern best practices for preventing and reducing serious dog bite-related incidents. The bans also noted as breed-specific legislation targets dogs and their owners based only on the dog's appearance or assumed breed, regardless of dog's behavior, regardless of the responsible ownership, an archaic and discriminatory policy that multiple scientific studies have determined to be entirely ineffective for public safety. Even the federal government is against breed-specific bans, and the U.S. Department of Transportation recently passed a regulation that prohibits airlines from banning pit bull-type service dogs on flights. Almost always, breed-specific legislation is replaced with behavioral-based, breed-neutral regulations, which are more effective because they address all potentially dangerous dogs, all irresponsible owners, regardless of the dog's appearance. I brought my dog with me, he's in my truck. If anybody wants to meet him, to prove that this judgment is wrong. Any questions?
No,
So you're asking the city to repeal its.
I'm asking to amend it to allow ownership or repeal it. There are cities that have, when you register your dog, they have very high fines regardless of the dog. Very high fines if the dog does something malicious, which I'm all for.
Yeah, Clay Center just adopted something and I don't have it, but they, I think that's the direction he's suggesting. I think it was Clay Center.
when we did ours, did we just, where did we take this wording from, do you know? Where you-
No, I mean, a lot of the
I can tell you, it's been cut and paste.
most of the city codes in the state are based off of
Right.
statute, court cases, and the language has been proven, so I assume it came from the league, some time ago.
Right. What kind of dog is he? Do you know?
We posted plenty of pictures, that's a good question, because I have an answer. Posted plenty of pictures on social media, and a lot of responses that came back were, it's a black-mouthed cur. That's not a pit bull, it's a black-mouthed cur. And I've seen plenty of pictures of black-mouthed curs, and they look just like it. But simply because it has that block head, it's deemed a pit bull.
Is he in the truck?
I'm sorry?
Is he in the truck?
Yes.
Okay, I saw him, it was dark, it looked more like a boxer, I thought.
This is the other if you want us to.
I have no idea about that.
I think that's, the essential question though is not, I agree in part with what you're saying. Appearance should not be a basis for determining whether or not the dog is dangerous. But I would argue that breed is, but we don't know the breed of your dog. I think that's the real point.
That's right.
Is that,
It's been accused of being a ban,
Sounds like it's
but it may not, it likely isn't.
yeah,
May I say something? The breed is
Oh,
discriminated against.
I'm sorry, but I know who you are.
Oh, Joanne Koskinen,
Thank you.
residents in Marion.
Thank you, Joanne.
They are known as banana dog. They are number one breed in America, number one emotional dog right now. I don't want a pit bull, I don't even think I'm a pit bull. But if I have to address this law to keep my dog, which he's a pet. He's not just something you keep in the backyard.
My question is, who has that's a judgment call, it's right here in the ordinance, it says it has the appearance, but at the end of the day, who actually has that say? The authority to say that is,
It would, yeah, it would eventually go to municipal court.
because
Well,
I grew up raising dogs and that didn't look like a pit bull. It looked like a different breed.
Go ahead, Matt.
well, I don't care what the dog looked like. I think that part of the ordinance is odd to me. I suspect it's there because some people are afraid if they see a dog. That's the only reason I would certainly agree with getting rid of a law that says if it looks like something, then it's wrong. If it is something, that's another question. So I think in your particular case, or the case of your particular dog, it would be really nice to be able to figure out what it actually is. And the question of whether or not a pit bull is dangerous is a different question, I think.
Well, you could look up, I already did, you can look up many different websites and many different references and it lists pit bull as one of the main dogs that bite people. Okay, so if you get rid of pit bulls, what's the next one? Rottweilers? Okay, now Rottweilers are the one that
Right,
bites
and
most
I don't think
people.
anyone disagrees either, we don't want any dog who's ill, and that's, the statutes deal with that. So it's already against the rules to have you ought not have a misbehaved dog regardless of the breed, that's already in there. I think it is
But
interesting,
It's listed as breed specific.
this one is, yeah.
Right, there is an article in this, right, that specifies pit bull dogs.
Yeah.
I'm open to, looking at it, I mean, I agree with Matt, and I agree with you, Charlie, on number 4, the appearance, who's to determine appearance? John, I doubt any officer, unless one of our officers has has an extensive history in dog breeding. I couldn't tell you what a dog is by looking at it unless I knew for sure, somebody else told me, so. What can we do to,
Well, we'll, take his thoughts to talk to the city attorney. I believe I think it's Clay Center, they recently have adopted something that took away the breed specific and focused more on the owner and the age of the dog. So I'll try to come back to that.
but you received a letter from the chief
Yeah.
saying you have to get rid of it? It's gotta be out of the
I have until, that's another thing I want to bring up, I have until April 1st to face fine, citation, or possibly impounding the dog.
maybe we
So
can,
I got 3 weeks.
maybe we can pump the brakes on that, or, I mean,
We'll be back before that's due.
yeah, okay. Well, go ahead, Matt.
Is there any way to determine what the dog's breed?
DNA test?
You can get DNA tests.
Yeah.
I don't know the
They're
percentage of
under
accuracy.
$100, so you could easily get one.
I mean, this is a very interesting scenario because, it says nothing to do with you or your dog, but it sounds to me like these laws are cross-wiring, human anti-discrimination with dog anti-discrimination, but let me finish. But breeding is a real thing. I mean, if dogs are bred to do certain things, then they are going
It's
to revert to
training.
that thing.
It's trained.
Don't-
Excuse me, ma'am.
Matt, please, Joanne, don't interrupt.
Okay.
So, and I'm not arguing with you, I think that's the reason for the statute. For your case, I think we need to know what is the dog. I'm not comfortable with appearance. But I'm also not comfortable, from what I know, which is not a ton, just saying, well, as long as it's a good owner, then something that's been bred for generations or hundreds of years to kill isn't gonna, or do whatever, isn't gonna do that anymore, whether it's chase a ball or fight, so. That's a bigger question, I think, than your case.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
What do you mean by appearance? You said you're not.
I don't like the fact that we're saying that someone can't have, that we're determining a dog is dangerous simply because of the way it looks. I'm not comfortable with that. So what I'm saying is I agree that part of the statute is something we should look at. But I don't think we should ignore breeding.
Man.
Yes, Charlie, go ahead.
There's another part of that sentence that's confusing too, at the end of number 4. And the dog which has the appearance and characteristics of being predominantly.
Sure, no, I agree, that whole,
Predominantly.
we're in violent agreement on number 4, that we need to look at that one.
Well, you were just saying appearance, I just wanted to bring it up predominantly. So if a DNA test is done, and it's 49% pit bull, it's not predominantly pit bull. Correct?
Yeah, whatever, I'm not a veterinarian. I would just like to have a more objective basis upon which to judge what your particular dog is.
Well, predominantly to me means 51% or more.
Well, I mean, you could it's kind of a fine line. I agree, I don't like section, number 4, but it says predominantly appearance and characteristics of being predominantly. So it doesn't say anything in there about actual, what their DNA says.
No,
But I agree with you.
If you were to strike appearance and characteristics,
Right. Then,
it'd be predominantly,
but they are in there,
but
appearance
they
and
are,
characteristics.
yeah.
It's an interesting question.
Find out what it is. I mean, I've seen your dog before, I've been over, I think I was by your house when I don't know how long you had him, but I thought I met him once. And I never had any issues with him.
No, he's a friendly.
So I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
If that number 4 gets struck, does that just nullify this letter that they received? So let's say next time we meet and we find out that that's something that we strike, would that nullify the letter?
Well,
And then
that's-
there's no
that's-
purpose for them to,
The adoption and the publication will take a while. What I would suggest, and I'll do, is have Chief Sid review a picture of it, and have the city attorney look at it, at the dog. If you're looking at it, and I'm saying it's not fitable, then it might, resolve the matter.
Could anything be added or amended on a case-by-case basis? Yeah, bring the dog down, let's check it out.
Well, you have that right regardless, I mean, it's,
But would it override this,
it would depend, I think, on
how it's written?
how it's written, or if whether the city attorney, I'd really want to get the city attorney's opinion on that before we would make that kind of determination.
Okay,
Thanks, Charlie.
thank you.
All right. Mike?
All I have is a proposal from, Gas Constructors to replace a drain valve plug and, drain plug valve in the UP at Winter Well, the wastewater plant. It broke off on me a few months ago, and I got a proposal from them. This is the same company that did work on the plant when it was built. And so I contacted them and they gave me a proposal to have that valve replaced. It broke off on me a few months ago, and it's there to drain the pit after the UV drainage, and it drains the pit down. It's not really an emergency, but it's something that needs to be replaced. And I don't know if
How much was it?
the total is $6,605.
We just started that today,
Okay.
doesn't seem to be an issue. But next week is that work session with, Easy Consultants.
I'm sorry?
I have no issues, if you don't have any.
Anybody have any questions or?
Is there anything going on the sewer plant that you should know about?
I have Daniel Monaco coming down to the plant tomorrow to go over a lot of, we're trying to get our mind wrapped around what we're gonna do for phosphorus removal. He's gonna talk to us about a lot of that tomorrow, but,
Probably in preparation for the work session,
yeah.
so we're never getting to that.
But right now, this was just something I need to have done.
Okay.
For all that, there's rather no getting around having to replace this. So that's all I have.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. All right, next item is the FICA tax reduction program. Any word?
Bernard asked if he had his recommendation at the next meeting. He did try to call the company, to left a message, it just, just wasn't enough time for him to respond. With his recommendation.
All right, but he did contact the company finally?
He told me so.
Okay. All right, then we'll table that and move on to crosswalk at North Second Street and Elm Street.
Yeah, so, we spoke about this last couple of meetings, I believe, and I put together something on the map, I think you're gonna copy of that. proposed, area and crosswalk and some cross estimates. And see where we want to go with it. I think it looks good there. I think the pedestrian crossing ahead signs are, need to be like 150 or 200 feet back from the actual crosswalk, and then at the crosswalk, there'll be a stop, line, you know, to stop at.
Could you pull the microphone closer to you?
Sure.
See if that helps. That's fine.
Is that better?
I think so.
Yeah.
And what's the sign is just, it's not illuminated or they don't push a button to
No, they're
activate it or anything like that?
high intensity reflective, so they're really visible at night.
And there's two options on posts. There's
Yes.
the regular one and then the decorative ones.
What would match the area? Or do we have the
Do you have
decorative,
any pictures of it?
So the stop signs that are going in on Second,
that post?
those will be, those are decorative posts there. But most all, that's just all the stop signs and cross, street signs are decorative posts, but, you know, we can do
What's the
whatever.
price difference?
It was $603 added to that $1,000.
So 1,000 to have the silver bowl, 1,600 to have the decorative ones.
Yeah.
Approximately.
And you guys could do it all yourself?
Yes.
I don't know what a decorative pole looks like.
They're 3-inch round fluted.
Seems like a really.
Similar to the street light,
Yeah,
like the same design as the street light,
Similar.
that kind of look. Well, it'd be odd to have decorative everywhere else and have.
That's true, I just never really,
Yeah,
I noticed the poles on Second and Mount Calvary, they did look like the poles downtown. sort of.
Yes. I think we went around and did all those in like 2018.
no difference in durability.
No, it just looked better.
Yes, sir?
So just a question, try to save. Hi, my name is Steve Jackson, I live in St. Mary's on East Lane. Just a quick question, I haven't seen any plans since we're here. If we're gonna put a crosswalk across Second at Elm, where do people come from and where did they go? Because there's no place to go, could find from the church, or where did they go? They cross the street and they end up on 63. And there's no other place to go. So I think if we're gonna do a crosswalk at Elm, which I think is great, we should also do one on 63. So just something to think about, look at the plan of the city, there's like 15 homes that you can get to from Elm. I don't know the number, but there's no other place to go, so I think we should just think about 63 the next step. I'm totally in favor of this, but just the next step, so.
Thank you, sir.
that, next step in K63 would probably require engineering report
Because it's in a
and
state highway.
something we might just drop on BG Consultants as a,
Or they're doing that. They're doing that whole stretch, right?
to add one though.
Just put some,
When we do the C-clip, and just drop it on them and see if it's
It's not a
something
bad idea,
we
yeah.
do on the C-clip.
Because you're right, they're coming from west of Sixth Street. A good bulk of that foot traffic is
I don't know,
coming.
there's some really cool people who have someplace.
I know they're,
Well,
yeah, my son.
Yeah, break it down.
Mr. Mayor, sorry for, if
No, go
we're
ahead.
talking about adding crosswalks, actually, we should probably have one crossing Mount Calvary, right? I mean, we're putting stop signs in, is that supposed to be enough, or are we just assuming they're
Second
gonna,
and Mount Calvary,
yeah.
second, right by the
Right, so
cemetery.
there'll be a stop sign, but I guess there isn't a crosswalk.
Well, and
A new
that's,
sidewalk.
right, I mean, that's considerably more, I mean, we put a new sidewalk in there. To Mr. Jackson's point, there's probably more people coming that way from not 63.
Crosswalks for everyone.
Yeah, just put them everywhere.
Yeah.
No, I wonder if we should look at, across Mount Calvary too, since, now everyone's gonna be stopping there, but
Well, then we
there's
definitely
gotta be
gotta,
sidewalks on either side, so.
we definitely gotta get decorative poles for Mount Calvary.
Well, there are some,
Match the stop signs.
those decorative poles, but
In that case, Bob, since there are already stop ahead signs presumably, right? So you wouldn't need to put any extra signs up, you just need the crosswalk there, if we were to do one at Calvary, right?
Oh, yeah, well, I'd have to look and see how
Might be
close
rules about that.
they are.
Well, let's.
Well, isn't that how it is downtown? There's just crosswalks, I don't think we have signs, do we?
No.
It's just crosswalks
It's
and,
not, I would think.
Assume.
Yeah.
you know,
And
someone
we
can
could do that also on Second Street. It's just-
Let's stay on this one if we could. I don't see any need to spend the extra money. I mean, me personally, I would say just go with the one with $1,000, but whatever the other commissioners think, I mean, we can do it, I'd like to see it get done.
Well, since we have two options, I don't know if you need a motion or what, ask, is there a consensus to go with the 1,003 or the 6, or you wanna, need some direction as formal?
Okay, would, Matt, or what would everybody like to see there?
I would like to see what a decorative pole is like.
I'm sorry.
Sort of brownish.
I said, I don't know what the
Oh.
decorative even looks like.
Those new stop signs you don't want. That's-
Yeah. I'm already just about.
Go ahead.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, so sometime around, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, there was an agenda item to replace some of our street signs. And when we started taking a look at it, we sat back and said, well, if we're gonna replace multiple street signs, should we take a look at options for the street signs and the posts and everything? This is right after we did the streetlight project. To try to keep a similar style and theme going through the town, instead of T-posts or square posts or different types of hardware. And at that time, the city commission agreed to change all of our street signs and stop signs to a more decorative style that would match the streetlights downtown. That's where you see, they're black painted, and they also have the attractive base with the fluted posts and the little acorn finial on top. At that time, I think it was a 3-2 vote, maybe it was 4-1, can't remember. Some people thought it was extravagant, a waste of money. I think it was well worth it. There's a lot of, every day, there's efforts being made across town to improve the appearance of the city. Homes, business owners, and I think the city's also done a tremendous job over the last many years to improve the appearance of the city. And this is just one of those additional items that was included in those improvements. So that's a little bit of the background, but our goal was to, and I think we did it, every street sign and every stop sign throughout the entire city has a similar post and similar look. So with that, I would be in favor of using the, what's called decorative posts for this crosswalk application.
So these would match what's currently down Main Street, okay, got it.
In addition to Main Street, it would match what's all over the city at every single intersection
Okay,
And what we're putting in just up the street.
at Mount Calvary and St. Paul, yes.
got it.
And our existing crosswalk signs are decorative, or no, are they gray posts?
Well, we don't really have any other, well, by the school, grade school down there, there's some pedestrian signs, but they are not on decorative posts. Same with like the dip signs going to Main Street, they're not decorative, but
So not all posts are,
all the stop signs and all the street signs, wayfinding signs are all decorative on each corner.
right.
Those are all decorative.
like the decorative signs for stop signs, street signs, but I just, if we already have a standard for the crosswalks, I would say follow those there. If you wanna change those down the road, great, but I would say let's match whatever we have already.
I would agree with Matt, if we have, or with Nate, I'm sorry, I would agree with you, Nate, if we have, if it's just for a crosswalk and we have them in other places in town and it's not a decorative post, I don't see the need to spend the extra money. But you'll need a consensus, so.
I need clarification on
Yeah.
where.
Matt, decorative or non-decorative?
Decorative,
Decorative.
Non-decorative.
No, if we're,
Decorative it
Decorative
is.
it is.
but did we approve the crosswalk?
It's gonna take 9 years to get a poll.
Yeah. So what do you think for approval on the crosswalk?
Well, if I would just wrap it all into one, there's consensus to do the crosswalk as proposed, and the decorative signs as proposed, and then, leave it at that. And this one didn't need an engineering study, Bob, you didn't think?
No, mainly for going across the state highway, they recommend, engineering study, yes, but right.
Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify that this, the K63 is an entirely different, crosswalk situation than this.
Well, it's just like, First Street going across 24, I mean, school kids are walking out of that all the time. Would that need another engineering report?
Well, the state would require, sometimes they do it, they do the report, so. That transportation enhancement, that T or whatever, but we need to see.
Okay, this was here, so in connection to this project, I think there's brought up a little bit of just, it's hard to have a crosswalk into, somebody's yard. And driving that street several times last week, looking at it, I think there's space, I have not talked to any of the homeowners, but there's space on the north side of Elm for a sidewalk. And I'd like to do some research on that, get some square footage, get some rough estimates, and then come back and ask the commission thoughts on installing a sidewalk on the north side of Elm that would connect Second down to Sixth. I think it's needed sooner rather than later, but at the intersection of Elm and Sixth, where we're going through the C-clip project now, that it got brought up, is that maybe an add-on to the C-clip project to work with BG?
Yeah, I was gonna, after the meeting tomorrow, or whatever, tip them off that that's coming up, so they'd be prepared to answer questions at the work session. And see if they can just, so sometimes when they do C-clip projects, things come in under their estimates. So if you go like on 7th Street and you look to the north, they have that concrete apron right in US 24. Well, that wasn't originally part of the project. They came to the commission and said, hey, we've got a little extra money, let's put some concrete aprons in there, and they've been great. So it may be something that can be added, it'd be the right people to have to do it, the ones that are already working with KDOT on the project.
But I don't think it'd go clear to Second Street, it's gotta be connected with the highway.
I was just gonna talk to him about, was it Elm at 63, is that what we're talking about?
That would be what my request would be, just, and I think you're already doing it, but
Yeah.
just verifying that, just that intersection, if we can add in, because they're gonna have KDOT's approval and everything, but add in, or at least ask them to consider, give us a quote, to add in the normal sidewalk entrance.
It's the ramp like.
Ramp like that, so that if the commission does decide to do a sidewalk in the future, we have something to connect to. Anyways, right.
Hey, can I just, Gerard?
Yes, go ahead.
This is, how do we, I think that's a good idea to put a sidewalk, or sorry, a crosswalk up across Mount Calvary as well. Do we just ask Bob to look into that and do it for the next meeting, or?
He was gonna put together estimates, I think he said.
Well, I mean, if you wanna put the signage and stuff there too, we can do that, or we can just paint.
That's what I'm thinking, I'm not sure we need any, because there's gonna be a stop sign.
There's a stop
I
sign
think
there.
if you could just, I don't know if we even need the,
I don't think you need a sidewalk or a sign for a crosswalk if you have a stop sign.
but do we need to come back to that, or can we say, hang one of those, if we agree?
Just paint it in when we do that.
And I think that, I mean,
We need stop signs going in instead of putting crosswalk, it's not just paint the
Paint one in,
street.
and then there's, I'll do that.
all right, well, so let's, you wanna, we do the crosswalk on Second Street with the decorative signage and the crosswalk at Mount Calvary in Second Street. Elm in Second Street, Mount Calvary in Second Street. So the one on Mount Calvary and Second Street would be going north and south, the crosswalk, this one's going east and west.
Right.
And you just need a consensus on that, Maurice? Yeah. And then taking a step further, if we do a sidewalk, so you got a consensus on that. If we do a sidewalk on Elm, the only way I'm interested in that is if we do it the right way and have the property owners pay for it this time. I'm not in favor of the city strapping those sidewalk burden on all the taxpayers. All right, anything else on those? Let's move on to Riverside Park drainage.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you too.
So, I think there was another map in your packet there with some little drawings and some distances. So it'd be in front of that, old bandstand that we refurbished last year, that area there, from there to the concession stand, Coleman Drive, it's like a bowl there, the water just does not drain, and well, there's a big drain box going all the way down Lasley Street, that's in front of the old pool, used to be there, it goes all the way down to Lasley. And I did some, measurements, and there's a 20-foot drop from the front of the concession stand road there to that drain box, so there's plenty of fall. I put in a couple of storm drains. There, well, it'd be mainly in the gravel portion of the parking area in front of the park. We could put it all in there, wouldn't even disturb the street, you know. But I'm not sure on the price, because the drains would have to be built on site. We could do that, so it'd be minimal concrete, maybe a yard of concrete. But the pipe was a little over $2,000 for 6-inch PVC, Schedule 40. So I wouldn't think it would exceed $3,000 to do that whole project, and we can do it ourselves.
Would this be charged to your regular budget, or would it be sales tax?
I'd say it'd just be go to the general fund.
Your budget, yeah, because we still have that seat, but I understand the, you know, it came down in our estimate that we still have to get that out of the way, so that would just go to your regular budget,
Yeah.
so.
Cheaper than soccer.
Well, it happens every year. I mean, is it because of the way people are parking in there? Is it tearing up the?
No, I don't know, there's just never been any drains in the park, it's just surface drainage and, you know, the park builds up, the grass and dirt and stuff.
It's really weird if it goes that way. I would have thought that.
Will it drop?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't, but the bottom of the box, the bottom.
I see. All right.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions on that? All right. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Bob.
Can you give your grader update if you're gonna leave, or you stay?
Oh, yeah, sure, we did get the grader, we have it, but it's getting the new tires on, it's just right outside of town here, and the guy that has it, he's a mechanic, he used to work for Pearls as their mechanic, and, I just asked him to go through it, look it over, if he sees any issues, let me know, and there was one that had a brake cylinder, so he's repairing that, and it had a brake line that was leaking, he's repairing that, and it has a hydraulic hose that's leaking, but he showed to me, we can do that when we get it back, and he said, it's a good running machine, it sounds good, drives good, shifts, and so, yeah, it should be back within a few days.
Bob, did you get the, that other
Attachment for the Mini?
toy? Yes.
We did get it Friday, but it had the wrong connection to connect to our machine, so they came yesterday, or Monday, yes, and took some measurements, and they're gonna get the correct, whatever it is, hook it up. And then our old grader, we'll probably put on Purple Wave, there'll be a bigger audience there. Should bring $5,000-$6,000 for that one.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
Armory rental rates.
Yeah, we really didn't find a lot that compared exactly to what we have, some was either really, pricey, we get the call for quotes, or the Alma, you said? The Alma Community Building, you can have $50 a day, or something like that. So I don't have a lot of, we can try to go through and do what it costs in utilities and all that sort of stuff, but I really don't have a feel for this one.
We're not losing money,
Well, so we're not tracking
we're not
utilities.
tracking utilities.
Well,
Yeah.
because this has come up over the years, and we can go through and, you know, people prop the door open with the air on very low, and then some people keep everything buttoned up, and, you know, so it's hard to tell, but,
Anyone have any questions on that, or do we just wanna leave it as it is?
Mr. Mayor, if you're asking for suggestions, I'll offer a suggestion on the armory rental rates. So city staff is their front desk, they're working with people on the armory rental. I think what I would recommend, because I think they have a pretty good idea of, you know, what would be a reasonable rate. But if we shot for somewhere in the ballpark of a 30% increase, last year, the armory rental brought in 16,000. We just approved, I think it was close to 30,000 for a floor refinish. You know, looking at the rates, they're pretty low, all things considered, for that size of the space. I would be certainly in favor of somewhere in the ballpark of, yeah, that 30% increase. But just trying to find round numbers around the current rates, and just kind of, they're the ones that are gonna have to sell it. And so if they come back with a recommendation around about 30%, that would be my suggestion.
we'd also like to have it cleaned a couple times a year by Zipro or some other professional cleaning company. I mean, the renters clean it, and if they don't do it to a certain degree, but there's just so much that doesn't need addressed.
Maybe come back with some proposals, some numbers, just what it would look like at 30% or so. Next item is the resolution number 0324, the master fee resolution.
That was drafted as directed.
Yep.
Well, on the electrical part, and then a 50-cent increase in the water per thousand.
Does anybody have any questions about the draft proposal for the rest of the, the master fee resolution, comments?
Got a few comments, and I apologize, I was asked to review the rate resolution, and if I'm looking at the correct version,
Are there errors on it?
I think I might have overlooked something here. So the residential rate and the small commercial rates should be the same. And then the large commercial rates, they're the ones that are also charged demand, so they have the different rate. And if I'm looking at this correctly, the residential rates and the small commercial, which should have the same rate, they don't. The residential rate of 10.97, so 1097, so 10.97 cents per kilowatt hour. That it was the rate that we discussed at the prior meeting and agreed upon to put in the draft resolution. So the only change that I would have on the residential rates, if we want to stay consistent, is just have the residential or have the small commercial changed to be identical to the small or to the residential. So change the small commercial to be the same as residential. Because that was just
So
small.
you can adopt it as amended,
Yeah.
then you can just draw me a picture and I'll get it right?
I'll text it to you.
Okay,
Okay, so do I have a motion to adopt, was that the only one? Was there others?
There's also the water rate change. Would you like to talk about that?
discussion at the last meeting was 25% increase would be, was it 25,000?
Or we go up 50%, 50 cents, or 50,000.
Upcoming projects.
So the idea there, and I asked Maurice to print out a 10-year plan, a little spreadsheet that I try to keep on the different funds. That's, I think it's at everybody's place with a little yellow couple lines at the top. The actual-ish from 2023, I took that from the 2023 December financials to show any balances. The rate revenue is very close to the rate revenue, might be off $1 or $2. So you have the way I do my little thing here is just take a look at the income, and then the next group is expenses. And that's what I refer to in my little spreadsheet as day-to-day, which is personnel and general maintenance. And then there's a line item that's bold that I labeled transfer to water capital improvement plan. And the reason I put that in there is to just say, hey, if we're gonna invest so much into our water infrastructure every year, are we gonna have enough money to do that? So the way this little sheet is structured is up top, you have the general water fund, and down below, there's a water capital improvement fund. The revenue that flows into that is just simply that transfer from the water fund. So you see the transfer in coming in at 200,000 each year for several years, and up to 250 once the water tower loan payment is paid off. And so what I just wanna say, okay, if we spent $200,000 on water capital improvement projects every year, and then I did a rough estimate on what the distribution maintenance would be, that would not include major capital improvement projects, and that's where roughly guess about $40,000. That's kind of valves and more like smaller issues. You can see at the very top, the balance kind of stays up around a very comfortable level. Granted, I did not have an increase in personnel expenses. Those typically will go up $5,000 to $10,000 a year. There's a couple variables that can go up and down. But what this told me is, okay, and also, on the rate revenue, that's on there, the third row down. In year one, I increased it to 450, because by the time this rate change goes into effect, it's gonna be a couple months, and we know that if this rate of 50 cents additional per 1,000 gallons brings in about $50,000 extra per year from what we're used to. Last year we brought in 223, so you see a slight increase in 24, and then in 25, that's where the full $50,000 increase starts to play into our revenues. The main thing here is just if we spent, and I just picked a number, $200,000 a year, can we, with these rates, will we float it? And obviously if we don't increase the rates, we won't be able to spend that amount of money. Is it the right amount of money to spend? I don't know. But I think it's a decent starting point. And take a look at the rough quotes of the two projects we're looking at, that's about $200,000. It doesn't mean $200,000 per year. A lot of times projects are saved up and then we spend $500,000 a year on a major project or something like that. But this just kind of gives me a good ballpark picture. And that's where I did ask Maurice, said, yeah, I'm comfortable with the 50-cent increase with water rates. I just want to show you this is where I got my data from.
Can I just ask the numbers on, are you projecting another rate increase from between 28 and 29? Because I see the rate revenue going up again, or is that?
So that's several years, 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Typically, usage goes up.
Okay, so that's just gonna be revenue from usage.
Yes.
This looks good to me because I mean, that's, $2 million without even going out to get that loan. With a fairly minimal impact on the actual rates that people are paying. I think it's smart.
Maurice, you're good with this? Okay, so what do we need to do?
So you adopted the resolution as amended.
As amended.
Have we had a vote on that, or that's what you need to vote on that?
No one's made a motion.
Okay.
So unless there are any other questions, need a motion to adopt resolution number 032-24 master fee resolution as amended.
I move to adopt resolution number 0324 master fee resolution as amended.
A motion, go to second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 03-24 master fee resolution as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is certificate of deposit number 237100. It's here. First bid is from Caw Valley State Bank. Addressed to the City of St. Mary's, RECD number 237100. Dear Commissioners, please consider our bid for the above described certificate of deposit with an annual percentage yield of 4.96%, for maturity in 6 months, or 4.88% for maturity in 12 months. If you have any questions regarding our bid, please do not hesitate to call. Thank you for your consideration. So that's from Caw Valley State Bank. Next bid is from Bank of the Flint Hills, City of St. Mary's, Maurice Purvell, City Manager. The Bank of the Flint Hills would like to submit the following bids for the certificate of deposit number 237100 in the amount of $350,034.70 that matures on March 13th, 2024. 6 month, 4.89% APY, 12 month, 5.15% APY. Thank you for the opportunity. Sincerely, Israel Fuentes. I'm assuming? Okay. Any discussion on that, or do I have a motion? We're gonna go with one or the other?
I'd say Bank of the Flint Hills at 12 months would be my vote.
I would second that.
Well, if you wanna make a motion, then
I can.
okay, go for it, buddy.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to accept the bid from Bank of the Flint Hills for certificate of deposit 237100 for the 12-month proposal at 5.15% APY.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the bid from Bank of the Flint Hills for CD number 237100, 12-month, 5.15%. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Housing Authority appointments.
So we've gotten a lot of interest from one of the people whose term is about to expire, but not the second yet, so, it was Bessie.
Right.
So, you can make that reappointment, so
What's her name?
Bessie,
Brian.
Brian, Bessie Brian. She's asked to be reappointed.
Let me get, oh, here it is, I see
The
it.
other one, we've got a call into, so we'll just carry that one over the next meeting.
Okay, unless there's anybody has an objection to me, to appointing Bessie Bryan, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
So I'll appoint Bessie Bryan back to the Housing Authority.
is that a 4-year term? It's at the bottom, so we'll just.
4 years.
4-year term.
Yeah,
Thank you.
all right. AMI work session,
Don has the work session set up for the 16th of April, which is the second meeting in April at 6 o'clock.
all right, and then the golf course.
That's just been carried over, and then Dr. Childs submitted a marked up version of the management agreement. Print it out for you. And then I had an additional thought about
I do,
the
yeah,
grant.
I do too, I have a couple thoughts on it as well, but Matt, did you wanna, I know we just got it, but
Yeah, I don't, all I really did was try to make electronically the changes that I read through last time. I would point out that in the Google Doc, you have to open it in Word in order to see the comments that I have. So there are two versions. One is, and Maurice just sent out the one where I had tracked changes and I just accepted them all, so it wasn't ugly for the printout. But that other one exists if you want to see the actual document with the changes. I think that I mean, I'm not claiming it's perfect. I just tried to put in the changes that I talked about last time.
So then we've been talking about applying for the grant. It's to a point where you might wanna solidify what amenities that you wanna be putting up there. Not this meeting, but maybe come back and say, we're gonna apply for this, this, and this, but not this, so that we can just focus in on it, and not waste time if you're not gonna. I'd sent something out about skeet shooting that going on another course, in another part of the state. May not work on this course, may not wanna even spend the time, but, I think it'd be popular. Another city down south just got a grant through this thing and had a mini golf course as part of it. So, anyway, that's what I was looking for, so it's not the absolute time you have to do it tonight, but come forward with what you want in there and I can start narrowing it down.
Well, I agree with you, but I would like to nail it down sooner rather than later. I wanna do a couple things, because there's been getting a lot of inquiries, questions from people, is the golf course, done with, we're not pursuing anything, or is it dead, or is it finished, or have you paid the money, so things like that. So I would like to nail down what we want up there. I mean, I know what I would like to see up there. And this is separate, I think, from the contract. I think we need to, I think it kind of, in my opinion, is two different items. We need to, if we're gonna go ahead with the golf course, what would we like to see it look like? And then, once we do that, and if we want to apply for this grant, then we apply for the grant with what we want it to look like. And then, we have the contract, and we can then present, we can discuss, the modifications that Matt has made, or however we want to put that together. But I would like to see us soon, like even tonight, say, like, for me, I want a golf course, I want a driving range, and I want mini golf. I don't want a pickleball courts, because I've been under the impression that we were going to possibly put some pickleball courts in one of our own parks, and then why compete against each other? So I'd like to see us do that. Or if commissioners don't want this to go anywhere, I want it on the record. Let's just get it out there. Are we gonna move forward with it, or are we not gonna move forward with it? And let's get moving on it, whichever way we agree to. So, in my opinion, I would like to move on it and get the golf course with the top tracer and the mini golf, and then the renovations to the clubhouse.
Yeah. I think it'd be important if you're gonna move forward with the course, to know what the potential debt service is, to see if a contract is realistic. As
Right.
far as, if you're trying to make it cover the bulk or all of the debt service, because too many items, obviously, it won't have much of a chance probably, so refurbished course, top tracer, mini golf, and clubhouse. Now, there was a lady in here not too long ago that offered to organize a group of volunteers to refurbish that clubhouse. And then when Rick Ferrant was told about it, he said, sounds great to him. So, and that can go on now, if you want someone to
And she still is
Yeah.
interested in that. I spoke with her recently about that, and she still is interested in doing that, or pursuing that.
and that can be independent of all this, because whether you do this, unless you get rid of the property, you're gonna have a building up
Still
there.
a rental venue, yeah.
Yeah, it can be improved greatly.
As far as the direction of what we'd like to see up there, does anybody else have any thoughts on it?
I'm working through some stuff on my own side. I wanna read Matt's comments, and I also wanna think through exactly, review what their costs were, so, generally I would agree with you, but I would like some time to go through that, so I would not, I'm committing to, I would say I want X, Y, and Z tonight, but, I would say by next meeting I would be there.
Okay.
I'd like to make a quick comment, and would it be, I think there's a benefit obviously to spell out exactly what we want up there, but would it be necessary to go through that exercise if we hand this agreement back to Great Life and they disagree with, or they're not amicable to these terms? That way, it's like, why go through the exercise of of finding out exactly what we want up there, which is a good point, but it might be putting the cart before the horse. Where if we could bring this back and present it to Great Life, see if they're even amicable to it or not.
Well, one of the issues might be that, Nathan Hall had mentioned that, or maybe you, that they could put if there's, profits up there, that it could be heavily weighted towards the city the first few years, and then have that wean off. We wouldn't know that until we knew what the debt service might be. That's just a thought.
That's true, but, I think that stuff can be talked about, but there's other things in here that Matthew updated, and Matthew, thank you for doing that, I think this is great. I mean, maybe they'll just take a look at this and say, hey, we're not even interested. I just wanted to share that thought. I'd be welcome for feedback on that. So we kind of,
Well, all I was wanting was clarification on the grant writing process so that I could focus in on it, not that you folks have to go through all this stuff. Because whenever I see an idea, I send it out, you know, and I'll stop doing that, and we'll just focus in, and I'll try that.
Well, it is all interconnected is the problem, because
It's true.
my big thing is how, which is, and I didn't put anything here about the services, so we might wanna add that, by the way. Because that may not matter to them, but for example, what I gather, they're probably gonna insist upon having a top tracer. I'm thinking, that seems to be their thing, I don't know.
I don't think, I'm sorry, I don't think the deal will get done without top tracer.
Okay, so I'm not saying that that wasn't in here, and I didn't put it in, so that's something that please add it if you want to. But, you know, my big thing is, we need to know how much the debt is, because that's what we're asking them to, we wanna make sure we cover that. And if the grant is such, and we get this amount of money, and the debt's, you know, $1,000 a year, say, well, that's not that hard, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be that. But so, I don't know what the order is, but these things are kind of interconnected. But if they're not agreeable to the idea, as written, but of course, this is just as written by me, it's not necessarily as written by what.
Sorry, I think we need to figure out what we want, work that in here to your point, like as much as it makes sense, and then present it to them with an understanding of what it's gonna require from us. So that would, like I said, I'd just like some time to review this. And yeah, maybe we can meet on this next meeting.
Well, I don't disagree with you, Nate. I mean, and Chuck, I think you make a good point. I mean, which one's the cart, which one's the horse? I mean, you could make arguments for both, both ways. I would like to see us at least get Maurice some direction so he knows if, do we even want, are we gonna go after this grant? I mean, are we 100% in favor of pursuing this grant? Which I am, and I don't know if all the commissioners are, but I am in favor of pursuing the grant. And then that would tell us, based off of the numbers that Great Life gave us initially, you know, because, I mean, maybe it's something at the end of the day, we only want the golf course and the top tracer and nothing else. So that's gonna be significantly lower than, you know, putting that, putt or miniature golf up there, mini golf. So, and then set up the contract as such and present it to them.
Okay, so if you're just asking for, hey, what would you like to see up there, I can give that. I would definitely like to see the golf course, the miniature golf, and the top tracer.
Top three thing.
Yeah. And no decorative signs up there, so we don't have money.
Now, come on.
Well, and Maurice, do you want a consensus on, I mean, all these different aspects, like a consensus to go forward with the grant?
Well, not yet. I'm still just starting the process. I'm reviewing their priorities in the state. I just wanna, like I sent out the thing about the mini golf from the Pittsburgh River. I'll try to open record their grant. The state doesn't give those out, so I'm just trying to get a jump start on the writing of it. I've not done one of these grants before, and it, you know, I don't wanna put it off too late, so I don't really need formal action, but I guess I can just focus on the refurbishment. And most of the stuff would be updated through Great Life, you know, use their drawings, their handouts, and their estimates that you decide to do, or we could get estimates from someone else, but that, a lot of that heavy lifting was practically done. So.
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying, but I just want to go on the record. I'm not in favor of getting any estimates from anybody else, because I think we've taken advantage, at that point, then we will have taken advantage of Great Life and the amount of work that they have put a substantial amount of work into this project. And
that's been part of the contribution, as they pointed out.
right,
But ultimately, if we're gonna spend $1 million refurbishing something, I mean, there's gonna be some, you know, probably some bids or, you know, something put out.
Any other questions or concerns? I guess we'll just move it over to the next.
It just carried over table until it's fun again. But thank you. I am going to just start on those first three. If you had something later, that'll be fine.
All right, reports?
So if she passed around to me, the auditor is prepared to give the audit at the next meeting. Some years ago, the procedure changed where the city commission needs to sign that audit letter before the audit can be given, and so you can keep it. Yes, you can. So it's practically, it's mostly boilerplate, each year, and there's just a little bit of difference in there. There's no violations in that one paragraph, which I think is key. So if you sign it tonight, I can send it to them, they can bring you the final copies and give the report at the next meeting. Otherwise, he can bring them and you can sign them at the meeting. And so it's done, so.
I have the properties that we're having problems with. Like,
To follow up on the cleaning up, that
cleaning up,
stuff.
yes. Where are we at on those?
Well, so we made contact, the last I'd seen of the one on the door that we've been talking about, I thought was satisfactory at the time, especially when compared to other people's yards. I thought it wasn't the worst in the world. The one on Bertrand, or the one on Main Street there, that guy has done a lot, but not finished, but yet he's under medical supervision and things for health issues. But the one over in the park, we just made contact with him again, so that whole thing had been delayed by the end of the year. Issues, vacations and that, and then we had all the wet weather and cold weather, and we contacted him last week to start up again, and surprised he acts like it's the first time we've contacted him. So we're going through that again, and we're gonna either have to be invited on the property or, so those are the three
Well,
that we've mainly been covering. And there's another one that was gonna be added,
uh-huh.
over by, Perry Electric Building or someplace like that, has a little tent city going on there or something. It was a nuisance from one part of town that when we went after, we moved it to another part of town, so.
Well, the one on Second and Apache, it's not getting better. I think with the warm weather, it's getting, he's back driveway is getting more full every day.
Okay, I just haven't been up
And
there.
I would have to say on Bertrand, he made really good progress and it's totally stalled out.
Correct, and he's having health issues,
I know, but, I feel bad, but it's months.
I understand.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I hate to keep beating this drum, but we take this action as a body and then we don't do anything. And we say, we're gonna do this, and then we stop. And yeah, I feel sorry for him too, as far as his health issues go. But if we're going to take this action, we have to follow through, otherwise we'll never have any.
And I don't disagree that it should have been, we would like to have been finalized by now, but I do believe that place on Bertrand, although it still needs some work, has never looked better in the last 10 years. And I believe for a while, the one up north, I thought was in good shape compared to, especially if you want to drive through some of the alleys in town and do a comparison. And then the one in the park, well, they did a minor amount there, got rid of a vehicle and a camper shell, and, when we last spoke, everything else, we mentioned his wife was sick. And that was the most important thing to him, so, but we haven't given up, it's just, we've just been trying to work with him.
Come on up, Teresa.
I was just wondering, I'm Teresa Clark. I just wondered, you said you were gonna have the city attorney, but did they pass?
No, he said, well, I don't know the bicycle one, but we just went through the park one, he said it's still in violation. Yeah.
We do have a brush cutter, sort of, other than 10
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
That was nuisance.
Anyone have anything else?
One of the things that we've also been working on is the state through the feds of mandating that inventory of the water service lines on city side, customer side. We've made pretty good progress on it. Here's another thing, 3 of them. We still have a little work to do. I think it's due by October. Not just anticipate any problems. So I'm just giving an update on that, that we're working on that.
All right, if nothing else, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I so move.
We have a motion to adjourn, do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor,